Hello guys, today we'll learn about advanced mechanics and the topic is projectile. So the question is, as shown in the diagram below, a projectile is fired from the top of the cliff. So here is the cliff and this is the top. So the projectile is fired from here with a velocity of 80 meters per second at an angle of 30 degrees. So this angle is 30 degrees to the horizontal. And the cliff is 100 meters above the sea level. So this height is 100 meters. Now, ignoring the air resistance, we need to figure out how much is the time taken for the projectile to reach to the maximum height. So it means time taken from here to here. Also, we need to figure out the height, maximum height above the sea level. So which means this point to this point, how much is the height? We need to figure out that. Then the speed of the projectile at its maximum height. What is the speed here at this point when it reaches to the maximum point, because this is the maximum height of the projectile. And then finally D is the horizontal distance from the base of the cliff to the projectile when it enters into the sea. So basically we need to figure out this distance from here to here. Now let's look at the solution. So here I have labeled the diagram A, B, C and D. So A is the starting point, C is the highest point and D is the finishing point. So first we have been given the velocity, which is the initial velocity is 80 meters per second at an angle of 30 degrees. If we will divide it into its components, it will become ux and uy. So ux is in x direction, which is the horizontal component, and that will be u cos 30, and if you simplify it will get u 69.28 meters per second. And simply if we similarly if we do uy, that will be u sin 30 and that will be 80 sin 30, which is 40 meters per second. Now to find the time, how much time it takes from A to point C, we will use the equation of motion, which is V is equals to U plus 80. And here our acceleration is 9.8 meters per second. But because the projectile is going upward, so that's why we are using the minus sign. Now also we need to know that at the highest point of the projectile, the velocity will become 0. So that is in the y direction. So Vy will be 0 and Uy, which we have already calculated, is 40. So we'll use that. Acceleration is minus 9.8 because it's going upward against the gravity, and time t. So if we'll simplify, we'll get t is equals to 4.08 seconds. So basically that is the time of flight from A point to C point of this projectile. Alright, now in part B, we need to figure out how much is the height that the projectile has achieved above the sea level. So we will first figure out how much is this height from point C to the sea level. To figure out that, we'll use the equation of motion, which is the second equation of motion, which is s is equals to ut plus half at square. Again, we are using the y direction, height in the y direction, so we'll use uy, which is 40 times t, which because we have already figured out the time t, which is 4.08 plus half. Again, gravity is negative because we are doing the motion in the upward direction against the gravity, times t square. So we have figured out the t, which is 4.08 square, and if we'll simplify, we'll get the height 81.63. So here this height is 81.63 and we have to add this 100, which is given in the question. So total height will become 181.63. That is the total height above the sea level. Now in part C, we have to figure out how much is the velocity at the highest point, which is here. So we already know that the Vy component, which is the velocity's y component, is 0 here. We just need to figure out how much is ux. So ux we have already simplified, which is 69.28. And if we will find the total velocity, that will be root ux square plus uy square. And that will become 69.28 square plus 0 square, which is still 69.28. So at this point, the highest point of the projectile, there is only one velocity which is working, and that is the horizontal component of the velocity. So our answer will be same as 69.28. Now we need to figure out the total time, like from point A to D. So we can divide this problem into two parts, which is A to C, which we have already figured out, which is 4.08 seconds. And now we need to figure out how much is the time from C to D. So from C to D, we know the vertical height is 181.63 meters. So we can use that, and that we are using into the second equation of motion, which is s is equals to ut So in place of s, we'll write 181.63, and initial velocity is 0 because we are starting from the highest point of the projectile, plus half. A is 9.8, but in this case it's positive because we are coming downward this time, times t square. So if we'll figure out t from here, we'll get 6.08 seconds. So that is the time from C to D point. And the total time of flight, which will become AC plus CD, so that is 10.18 seconds. And they are asking for the horizontal distance. So for horizontal distance, you have to multiply the total time TAD, which is 10.16, by the horizontal component of the velocity, which is 69.28. If you'll multiply them, you'll get 703.38 meters. So hope it helps you in projectile motions. See you in the next video.